Lamar is a special guy, man. You know, he's doing everything that he's supposed to do with the ball. You know, and that it factor is, he is it.
Who is playing the closest to prime Vic?
It's Lamar, hands down, man.
You know, we're going to get Lamar Jackson. There is not another player in the whole world that plays football like Lamar Jackson. So
today, we know Lamar Jackson as one of the biggest stars in the NFL who redefined the quarterback position the moment he stepped foot in the league. From one of the most memorable draft day falls of all time to a two-time league MVP on the hunt for his first Super Bowl ring, Lamar has staked his claim as a legend of the game. So in today's video, we're going to look at the beginning of his meteoric rise and hear what NFL legends thought of him the first time they faced him. Some of them saw greatness, others thought he wasn't really anything special, and at the end of the video, we'll even reveal exactly what Von Miller, an NFL legend, thought about Lamar Jackson the first time they played. Because this is what NFL legends thought of Lamar Jackson the first time they played him. Now, it's a story you've probably heard 100 times over now. Lamar Jackson becomes the youngest Heisman Trophy winner of all time in 2016, but falls all the way to the last pick of the first round in the 2018 draft. The Ravens traded up to the 32nd overall pick to take him, where a visibly emotional Lamar promised the city a Super Bowl. The plan was to sit him for his entire rookie campaign behind Joe Flacco, but 9 games into the season with the Ravens sitting at 4-5, it was clear that something needed to change. John Harbaugh ended up naming Lamar Jackson the starting quarterback for the final 7 games of the season, a decision that altered the course of franchise history. Lamar went 6-1 in that stretch, and his only loss came in overtime to the Chiefs. As a starter, he passed for 1,114 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, while rushing for a further 556 yards and 4 scores as well. And that's the thing too, not only was Lamar Jackson just super electrifying to watch week in and week out as a rookie, but Lamar was actually winning games and proving all the doubters wrong, and in doing so, he led Baltimore to a surprise playoff berth. And now yes, although his playoff debut was a little lackluster considering the sheer spectacle he produced in the last 7 weeks of the regular season, the league was beginning to recognize him as a special talent. At the 2019 Pro Bowl, some of his division rivals were asked about their first impressions of Lamar, and future Defensive Player of the Year TJ Watt knew exactly how much trouble lay ahead of him and his Steelers.
He's like the human joystick. He's hard to take down, and they can do a lot of things in the backfield with him. They have a good running partner with him that the zone read is tough to stop, and I think it's something that the NFL isn't really comfortable with defending it, and I think that's why they had so much success. But he doesn't get enough credit for his arm. I think he has a really good arm, and he has a lot of great success coming his way.
Then Watt's teammate in Pittsburgh, the veteran 5-time All-Pro Cam Hayward, could already see early evolution in Lamar's games.
The guy is really came on the scene. When we first played him, he was more of a gadget guy, running the zone reads and such, but now he's got the full range, and he's making guys pay. Myles
Garrett, who back in college had to face a freshman Lamar Jackson in the 2015 Music City Bowl, already knew the type of damage he could do. And just for reference too, in that bowl game, an 18-year-old Lamar Jackson rushed for 226 yards and 2 touchdowns, while throwing for a further 227 yards and 2 more touchdowns. Like, it doesn't get much more dual threat than that.
It's been tough since college. I remember playing in a bowl game, and he's been slippery since his first start. And he's just different, man. They used to refer to me as Gumby, but really, I'm not having to bend and move and run the ball, and guys aren't after me as much. He's able to slip out of tackles, stiff arm guys, jump over guys. He really got everything athletically. And at the quarterback position, you don't see that kind of dynamic ability, so it's tough.
Even Jalen Ramsey at this Pro Bowl, who we all know loves to trash talk, had this to say about Lamar Jackson.
What do you think about Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson?
He's the truth. I think last year around draft time, I tweeted that he should have been the #1 pick. And that's nothing to nobody else, but I just thought that he was that good. He came in this year, he did a great job to lead the Ravens to the playoffs. Yeah, That's my guy.
So in that 2019 offseason, Joe Flacco was traded away, leaving no doubt that Lamar Jackson was Baltimore's guy going forward. In his first start of 2019, Lamar exploded for 324 passing yards and 5 touchdowns with an 85% completion rate. An emphatic beginning to his sophomore campaign, which he followed up with another win in Week 2. But in Week 3, Lamar had to face the only team to hand him a loss the previous regular season, the Kansas City Chiefs. And ahead of that game too, Chiefs safety Tyrann Mathieu made clear Kansas City wasn't underestimating Jackson's abilities.
Those guys went overtime last year, and Lamar Jackson, he's coming into his own as a quarterback. So a lot of people talk about Lamar's running ability. I think he has one of the prettiest deep balls, for a quarterback in the league. So we got to be fine upon that, and we got to know who his weapons are.
And that's the thing too. Yes, Kansas City did ultimately beat them that Sunday and would actually end up winning the Super Bowl that year. But no matter what though, Lamar Jackson left a lasting image, especially in Tyrann Mathieu's head. So much so that 3 years later, Mathieu opened up about what makes Lamar so special.
Lamar
Jackson. Yeah. He just has that spirit, man, and that will. I think he's one of the most competitive players I've ever played against. I think anytime he has the football in his hands, he is the most dangerous person in the world. It's very, very hard to tackle him. And I don't think people understand it. I think most people think that since everybody's in the NFL that they should be able to tackle him. That's not necessarily how it works.
And that's the thing too, in that 2019 season, Lamar was constantly and just really week in and week out, always overwhelming just stars around the league. Like week in and week out, Lamar Jackson was making opponents miss and making them pay. Even in games where he did struggle throwing the ball, his legs could reliably make the difference. For instance, in Week 7 in Seattle, Lamar completed just 45% of his passes, but rushed for 116 yards and a score in a 30-16 win. Michael Vick, a player who Lamar was frequently compared to, had this to say in the wake of that performance.
I was entertained because he impressed me last year. And to sit back and watch, and this was the first time I had a chance to watch Lamar in detail, and I was in awe. Like, I'm looking at the game like, man, this is what it really looks like. And
watching Mike Vick in the prime, it was
just watching the defense that couldn't contain him, couldn't do anything. I was frustrated for the. This is what I was
killer.
I was frustrated for the Seattle Seahawks defense yesterday because, look, I'm watching the game as a fan, so I root for both sides. And you got 3rd and 10, and then man-to-man coverage, and they turn it back, and Lamar's looking to pass first, to his credit, and then it's a scene that opens up, and he takes off, and I'm like, that's what I used to do. The league is in trouble for a long time. You're going to have to deal with this guy. He's not going anywhere. I was so entertained yesterday. I want to see him again next week and want to see him continue this trend because he's amazing, and he's going to be hard to stop for a long time.
Then the 11-time All-Pro Bobby Wagner was very complimentary of Lamar's rushing ability post-game as well.
I mean, like I said, a lot of it was just, really good, really smart by him. I think he recognized that we were in man, and, they kind of ran some seams and got us going against our guy and took off. And, he's a really special and fast player.
Like, as one of the most durable veterans in the league, Wagner got to see Lamar Jackson grow into a 2-time MVP in front of his very own eyes. And in 2024, he elaborated on Lamar's development.
I think the biggest difference in his game is, I think when he first got into the league, it was if he didn't see what he needed to see, he would take off and run. And I think the biggest evolution of his game is he's seeing the pass game so good, but still has the same agility, same speed to take off and run. And so back maybe before, you would, as soon as something didn't break in like the first couple seconds, you were okay going and trying to make the tackle. But now is if you do that too soon, he throws it right where you left, or you leave your guy, he throws it right over. Like, he's looking to throw, but also understands how great a value his legs still are. And, it makes him very hard to stop because he's throwing the ball with great accuracy, and he's still, you watched the game last week, he runs, stops on a dime, and keeps running. Like, you can't, that's tough.
Yeah, dude is different.
One of Wagner's longtime teammates too, Earl Thomas, who was a Raven alongside Lamar in that breakout 2019 season, had this to say about his impact on the defense.
But we definitely turn into fans when Lamar does Lamar things, like when he's breaking people's ankles out there, spinning, running for crazy yards, making a crazy throw downfield that only Lamar can do. And we just talked about on the sideline, and I guess that kind of makes us comfortable on the sideline as well going into the next series.
A major milestone for the Ravens was snapping the reigning Super Bowl champions' 8-game win streak when New England came to town in Week 9. However, at the time, Patriots cornerback Devin McCourty wasn't ready to pile on the praise for Lamar just yet.
Some of it, but I mean, if I'm being honest with you, like, we didn't give up a ton of like huge plays to Lamar Jackson. It was, to me, just their run game overall. There was times where we were good on Lamar Jackson, but then Ingram split us, or we were good on Ingram, but then Lamar Jackson got out for 7 or 8 yards. So I think, obviously, anytime you play a team like this, like you can't replicate that in practice. So there's definitely some adjustment. But I don't think it was like one of those things where like he runs around the edge and we're like, dang, he's fast. Like, we knew he was fast.
Lamar made sure that nobody was mistaken as who was leading the charge for the Ravens with an 11-game win streak to close out the season. One of those wins was a dominant 45-6 beating of the LA Rams, where Jackson threw for 5 touchdowns over his former teammate Eric Weddle. As we all know, Weddle is considered one of the smartest DBs of all time, but even he had to say this.
Bring down one that, you played against Josh Allen. Josh Allen was a rookie. You played with Lamar Jackson, right?
Yeah.
When he was a rookie. And then you got by it, let's just be honest, because you were so honest about it.
Did we all? That might have been the biggest destruction of a game I've ever been a part of at any level when the Ravens destroyed our souls.
Okay, talk to me about this. It was a regular season game. And listen, like, players are honest and open, but these quotes they're hilarious but terrifying. We got our faces peeled off. You admitted that you didn't know. You, Eric Weddle, you didn't know where the ball was. You don't know who had the ball.
And yes, although more playoff disappointment did round out the 2019 season, Lamar Jackson ended the year as the second ever unanimous league MVP at the age of 22. In the years since, too, he hasn't stopped wowing opponents and NFL legends, including his own teammates. 6-time Pro Bowler Calais Campbell, who was a Raven between 2020 and 2022, made a startling declaration about the quarterback when asked to name the most talented teammate he ever had.
But for the best talent, the most talent, it's hands down Lamar Jackson. I played with, Jalen Ramsey was super talented, Patrick Peterson super talented. So many guys I played with that were super, super talented. But when it comes to like just overall talent and one body of work, it's Lamar Jackson.
Von Miller also made it clear that Lamar Jackson is a unique threat every time you face him as well.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I would be lying if I said it was different. Lamar Jackson, he's just a unique player. He can run the ball, he can throw the ball, he runs 4-3. Any space that he gets, he can take it the distance. And I'm talking 50 yards plus on every single play.
So in an era of ever more mobile quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson has remained the leader of the pack ever since he shocked everyone and first burst onto the scene in 2019. From a historic sophomore campaign to becoming one of the faces of the league, Lamar has just about done it all, in everything except reach a Super Bowl and delivering on that draft night promise, which I'm sure will happen very soon.